Hello, everybody. So today we are going to learn about our triad color picture, and we're also going to refresh your memories about what triad colors are. And basically, triad colors are any three colors that are three spaces apart on the color wheel. So let's take a peek at the color wheel. All right. Oops, no, I don't want to rename it. So we know, because we did color wheels, that the primary colors, which are yellow, blue, and red, create a triad. That's also why they're in the center of this technical color wheel. So if we count, so we go from yellow here, we go 1, 2, 3. The next color is red. So there's 3 spaces in between. 1, 2, 3, and that gets us to blue. And then 1, 2, 3, back to yellow. So a triad is any 3 colors that are 3 equal spaces apart on the color wheel. Now, if we want to find the other ones, we all know automatically the secondary colors have 3, and they are 3 spaces apart. So we have orange. We go 1, 2, 3. I get to green. 1, 2, 3 to violet. And then 1, 2, 3 back to orange. And this is how you can find any colors and refer back to the color wheel to help you find them. Now, we also have 2 intermediate triads, and to find them, if you have trouble remembering them, the first one is what I call intermediate 1, and that starts with yellow-green, and let's figure out what goes with yellow-green. 1, 2, 3, next one over is red-orange. Then we go 1, 2, 3, then we get to blue-violet, 1, 2, 3, back to yellow-green. So we have yellow-green, red-orange, and blue-violet are intermediate 1. And then we have intermediate 2. We have yellow-orange. So 1, 2, 3, red-violet, 1, 2, 3, blue-green, and then we go 1, 2, 3, back to yellow-orange. So we have yellow-orange, red-violet, and blue-green. Make the other and final triad. All right, let's go back to our slideshow. Come on. So, triads, 3 colors that are equal distance, 3 colors apart on the color wheel. And of course, we know, I just went over the primary colors, and these, of course, are the intermediates, and these are showing the intermediate 1 and intermediate 2. So the primary colors are red, yellow, and blue. And then the second triad is orange, green, and violet. And then we have yellow, orange, blue, green, and red, violet. And red, orange, blue, violet, and yellow, green. And you find them by counting the spaces on an actual color wheel, if you need to. And I have the colors listed for you so that you can refer back to that list and the colors as well. So let's talk about the triad sets. I have this picture in the folder for you to refer back to. So we have the primary colors, and I have them in order from light to darkest color, because that's going to help you with your project when I get to talk about it, because we'll be breaking into shapes, and it's best to focus on light, medium, and dark when you're creating those shapes. So it's kind of like 3D shading with your triad set. Okay, then we have our secondary. So orange is the light color, green is the medium color, and violet is the dark color. So that's another triad, and you're going to only be using one of these. Only one. So 3 total colors for your entire project. And you want to be thinking about which set you want to use, because I'm going to be asking you. All right, then we have our intermediate sets. So first intermediate 1 set is yellow-green is the light color, red-orange is the medium, and blue-violet is the dark. And this shows the crayons and what the colors look like. And then we have intermediate 2. Yellow-orange is the light color, red-violet is the medium color, and blue-green is the dark color. And I have these pictures in the top of the folder for you to refer back to. So you will be able to see the color sets. Remember, it's only one. 3 total colors. Cannot emphasize that enough. All right, supplies that you're going to need. You need a practice paper. And then you need a good piece of paper, either a 9x12 manila paper, which is this yellowish color, or a 9x12 white paper. These are best for grabbing the crayons and getting the nice vibrant colors. You shouldn't be on line paper. It doesn't color well. And of course you need pencil and eraser to draw and the 3 colors to color. So you need crayons. All right, let's go over the criteria for the triad picture, and then I'm going to go over the actual directions. And remember, this PowerPoint is always there for you to refer back to. Click through the slides so you can see things. All right, it is worth 100 points. Remember, the projects are the biggest value of what we do. It's 50% of your grade. And the finished projects are worth 100. And these are the criteria that I'm focusing on. First one is, and they're all 10 points unless I say otherwise, the picture is creative and focuses on one made object. The picture is made up entirely of enclosed shapes, not lines. We're going to be filling them in solid this time, so it has to be closed. We're not adding any color overlays. We're not 3D shading. Picture has a good composition and fills a page. That should happen automatically if you focused on one main object. So mine is the person's face, and it has a decorative design on it. And I have stars in the background that are arranged in an interesting way for this one. And then it's broken down into light and dark shapes and shapes that are surrounding each other to create that. Because you see, there's only 3 colors in this entire picture. Now this is a biggie. This is where people lost points on the complementary picture. This is 20 points. Used only one group of triads. You're only going to have 3 colors. It's either the primaries or the secondaries or intermediate 1, which is shown here in this picture, or intermediate 2. 3 colors, that's it. You go to the other land after me showing you all the specific colors, it's your own fault. Okay. All right, colored individual shapes neatly. You want to be able to see the shapes. You know, I wouldn't want to do this yellow-green star here and then the color right after it. I wouldn't want that to be yellow-green too, because then I'm going to lose the shape. So you're going to plan where your colors go. And that leads us to the next thing. Did not fill in shapes next to each other with the same color. Now, if they're off kilter a little bit, or let's see if I can find anything on this picture here. Right here, see how these 2 stars are kind of touching? It's the outline. Well, they're only touching on a little spot. They're touching right here, and they're touching at the bottom. Now, if they were right next to each other, if I did yellow, green, and then did this outer shape, yellow, green, that would completely lose it. So you got to plan. You know, touching a little bit's okay. That's going to happen. But you don't want 2 shapes that are totally meshed right next to each other, or you won't be able to see them. And that's where planning comes in your picture. Planned where the 3 colors would go to create contrast and not lose the details. And I'm going to show you when I get to the plans and the drawing spots how I labeled my picture of where my colors would go. Entire page is colored solid with no paper showing. So we don't want to color fuzzy. We want to make sure the entire shape is filled in, the edging is neat, and that it's solid. And that means no paper showing. And of course, craftsmanship is the overall appearance. Did you do your best job putting forth 100% and followed the directions, and it's finished? And of course, this is in the folder for you to refer back to as well. It's there to look. Did I go through the steps? Do I have everything I need? It's partially your responsibility to do this. That's why the criteria is available for you while you're working. Yes, it is. All right. Let's go over the directions. Now, this is an example of intermediate 2 with my shark. And you can see how I planned where all the yellow oranges were going to go. And then I went on to red, violet for the mediums. And then the blue-green for the darker areas. And 1/3 of the picture should be each of your colors to make it have unity and give it a pattern. All right, so let's look at the directions. Picture is composed of shapes for coloring. Remember, you're going to use only 1 triad for the entire picture. You have the list earlier in the slideshow. You'll have the list in the folder. You need to choose which one. And of course, the first one is the primary colors, the secondary colors, intermediate 1. Oop, and that's backwards. I think it's backwards. And intermediate 2. Let me look at my list. I think I gotta fix that. Yep. Oh, I need to fix that. So that's backwards. Intermediate 2 is yellow, orange, red, violet, blue, green. And intermediate 1 is yellow, green, red, orange, and blue, violet. I don't know how that happened. That mixed. I will fix that before I put that in your folder. Number 2, plan design. You want to use one main object. Mine is a shark, and it's sunlight coming through the water and the water. That's all that's there. You notice how big my shark is. And again, do not copy it. This is very stylized drawing. Everything must be a complete and enclosed shape. No open lines. Remember, you will only be using one triad color, the 3 colors for the entire picture. Then we're going to go on to the good paper. You're going to lightly draw the picture on the good paper to use as a guide for coloring. Make sure everything is a complete enclosed shape, no open lines. And you want to choose before you start coloring which Triad set. Oh, see, it's now down here it's the right color, so I'm going to have to fix that first paragraph. Choose whether you're using primary, which is yellow, red, and blue. Secondary, orange, green, and violet. Intermediate 1 is yellow, green, red, orange, blue, violet. Or intermediate 2, which is yellow, orange, red, violet, and blue, green. And this one is intermediate 2. You're going to color the picture with one set of triad colors only. Plan where your colors will go in advance. And that's important. Color with one color at a time. So what I did is I did every single thing that was yellow, orange first. Then I did the red, violet. And then I did my blue, green last. So I knew where all the colors were going. Some colors are lighter. And some colors are darker. You want to create patterns of contrast and not lose your details. So you can see, even though I only have 3 colors, I can still see my shark. I can see the sun rays coming through the water, and I see the water in the background. And let's see if I can find another. So here along this bottom, it's red-violet. It's got a medium shadow. And here in the background, in the water, here's some shapes that are touching. But you notice they're not completely colored. This whole big shape down here is not red-violet, so that it's meshed up. You can still see the separate shapes. That kind of touching is okay. What you don't want to do is, let's say if I did my fin here, if I did this red-violet and then did this red-violet, the shape would be gone. It'd be one big huge triangle, and we couldn't see all the beautiful designs anymore. So we want to watch out for that. Color one shape at a time, and you want to color neatly. There's no blending or anything. You're just coloring solid. So you want to color neatly. It's best to start with your light color, then the medium color, and the dark. And I will say this like a broken record, and then people won't listen, and then they get lost, and they don't know where to put their colors. So it's good to plan ahead. Because if you have an oopsie like I do right here, see that? I accidentally put the yellow-orange where it was supposed to be blue-green, and I had a color over it. Now I got a little bit of funky spot. So you want to be careful for that. Fill in the shapes neatly, edge neatly, and fill it in solid. Don't rush. You don't want to be crossing over the lines and coloring sloppy. And you want to make sure that it's solid. Do not use the same color next to each other that line up the same, or you'll lose the shapes and details. Completely fill the paper solid and neat, not fuzzy, or with holes of paper showing. So you see the entire picture is colored in. Okay, so let's talk about the plan. First, you want to plan the design for the picture on your practice paper. This is like our sloppy copy, getting things worked out. You want to use one main object that fills most of the space and add a simple background to go with it. So the fish here is my main object. Then I've got some seaweed, and the water movement in the background. That's it. The fish is big. And my girl with the decorative face, it's mainly the head and the designs on her face that make it up. And then the stars are accents in the background. Everything must be a complete and enclosed shape. No open lines. Remember, we're filling these shapes in solid this time. Draw basic shapes and design first, then go back and break the picture into more smaller shapes. For example, light areas, medium areas, and dark areas like 3D shading, only it's a shape, or like puzzle pieces. It's not spots. It's not like adding spots on a cow or a dog. You see how the shapes are in between shapes. These shapes are touching. It doesn't mean that it's free floating within the objects. A shape is anything that has a closed border. And for the most part, most of my shapes are organic shapes except for my geometric stars that I use for accents in that picture. Remember, you will only be using one triad. It's 3 colors for the entire picture, so be thinking about which one you want to use. It doesn't have anything to do with your subject matter whatsoever because you're only using 3 colors for the entire picture, no matter what set you choose or what you draw. All right, here's my Sharky. So this one is just the basic shapes first. And this line down the middle is, the shark is darker on top and he's got a white belly. And I've got the sun rays coming through the water. Now then I went back and added the shapes. And you can see how I got little L's and M's and some D's because I was planning out where the lights and darks were going to be in the picture. And I wrote it actually on my plan so that I would remember because sometimes you forget. You need to plan as days away before we start coloring. And you may remember while you're drawing, oh, yep, this is going to be the light area, this is going to be the dark, but then you go to color and you forget. So see here on his bottom fin, it's going from, actually that's his side, sorry, that's his side fin on the other side. It says, so I've got light, medium, dark. And I just realized that Miss Sackett, now I know why this shark looks funny. I forgot his bottom fins. And you don't have, Miss Sackett loves sharks, and I totally forgot my poor, I'm sorry, shark. He doesn't have his 2 bottom fins. I'm sorry, buddy. At least he's got his dorsal fin and his fins that help maneuver him through the water. I'm sorry, Sharky. All right, then we're going to stop and submit the plan. Remember, take a good photo, and I mean good, guys. Miss Sackett needs to see it. Get my feedback. Listen to what I have to say. Maybe what you're doing was drawn too small or it's not going to work. You spotted it. You're not going to know where to put your colors instead of having the shapes connecting. So get your feedback from me before you move on to the good paper. Okay, then we're going to have 2 days again to work on the drawing because first we want to do the basic shapes and then break it into the shapes like we did for the plan. Now, the drawing for the project should be on good paper, either white paper or manila paper. The more sturdy it is, the better it will color. Now, on the good paper, and this is important, these are samples that were for you to see. My real drawing that I colored was lighter, okay? Lightly draw the picture on good paper to use for a guide for coloring. Because some of these dark areas, and you remember the inside of my stars were yellow-green, some of my shapes on the fish were yellow. The crayons that are lighter, it will be yellow, yellow-orange, orange, yellow-green, and green are the lightest colors. The pencil marks will show through, and you don't want that, so you want to make sure you draw lightly. Make sure everything is a complete and enclosed shape, no open lines. Draw the basic shapes and design first, then go back and break it into the more shapes and smaller shapes. For example, light areas, medium areas, dark areas like 3D shading, or like puzzle pieces, or it can go like for a background accent, like my stars, my shapes are going around shapes that are already there. And remember, you're only going to be coloring with 3 colors total. So it's important that you have it broken into shapes that make sense. And again, showing my shark, basic shapes, and then broken down into more shapes that create the highlights and shadows so that I'm ready to color. And again, you want to stop, submit the drawing, take a good photo, especially since it should be drawn lightly. You want me to be able to see it. And you want to get Ms. Ackett's feedback before you move on. I may have something to say about the way your shapes are drawn. Maybe you don't have enough shapes. Maybe your object's way too small. Your shapes are too small because remember we're using crayons, which are about the size of your pinky finger. So you always want to get my feedback and listen to my feedback before you move on so that you can make adjustments, because once you color something, it's done. You can't be erasing crayons. Okay, and then we're going to get ready for coloring. Remember, you're going to use one set and one set only of Triad colors. Choose the primary colors, and I have this picture in your folder, which is yellow, red, or blue. Secondary colors, and it's got it listed for light, medium, dark. Intermediate one, which is yellow, green, red, orange, and blue, violet. And intermediate two, which is yellow, orange, red, violet, and blue, green. And remember, these are the normal colors. These all have normal names. I've got a picture for you. I've got them in order from light, medium to dark for you, and I have their names. This is an or. It's primary or secondary colors, or intermediate one, or intermediate two. 3 colors only, and that is important. All right, then you're going to color your picture. And this time, remember, we're filling in the shapes solid. Color picture with one set of Triad colors only. I can't emphasize that enough. You have the pictures. You know which ones are in each group. So you should know what colors you're using ahead of time and not, mess up. Only get the 3 colors out. Plan where your colors will go in advance. And what I did is I labeled my plan. After I drew my good picture, I went back in and added all the labeling so I knew where I wanted to put stuff with the little L's for light, M for medium, and D for dark. Color with one color at a time. Color one shape at a time. Color all of the shapes you want to be that color, and it's about 1/3 of the picture. So I did my light color first. It's all yellow-orange. Then I moved on to the next color, which is the medium color, and then the dark color. Remember, some colors are lighter and some are darker, and this will help give you the appearance of highlights and shadows, give your drawing a pattern, unity, and contrast, which is what you want to have. You want to create patterns of contrast and not lose the details. It's best to start with the light color, then the medium color, and the dark color last. And I can't emphasize this enough. I have kids that hop around, skip from one color to the next, and then they run out of places to put things because they didn't have a plan. Fill in the shapes neatly, edge neatly. You don't want to be going real fast. Remember, slow, small, solid when you're coloring. Do not use the same color next to each other. Line right up, or you're going to lose the shapes and details. And then some of your design points will go away because now I can't see them. Completely fill in the paper. Color solid and neat, not fuzzy, or with holes of paper showing. Remember the trick I showed you last time? If something's not filling in, change the direction the way you are coloring to help fill in spots. And here's just some more samples. Here's the fish still in a work of progress. Got it planned where the lights are darker, going to see in the seaweed. It's going from yellow to red to blue. Yellow to red to blue, so it's going from light, medium to dark. Sometimes you can change the directions of a shape. So this way it's going up and down, and this way the coloring is going right to left, up and down, right to left. That gives you a different way of how to color. And there's my face with the intermediate two. And here's one that's similar. Unfortunately for this one, I don't know where the plan went. I don't know where my drawing went. I only have the final picture. This is an actual real artwork of mine. Do not copy it. But this is, again, broken down into highlights, mediums, darks, the design work. It's very stylized. And the pattern in the background where it's going around what's already there. And this picture is very much me. I don't want to see anything like it. These two right here, very stylized drawings of mine that does represent me as an artist. So do not copy those. But anyway, I wanted you to see some samples. And this one, of course, is painting. When we're on campus, sometimes we paint it. Fortunately, this year, with limitations, we're not painting. We're using crayons so that we all have what we need and can be safe. And then stop, submit your project, make sure you take a good photo, get feedback, adjust the picture as needed. And while you're working on this phase, I will have some check-in points for you to show me how your coloring's going. So one, that I can make sure you're using only one set, make sure you're coloring it the way you need to so that you can get feedback from me. Okay? All right, so we are going to get to it. Enjoy your project and have a good time. And always refer back to the directions, guys. Escapey, escapey, escapey.